Let's see this question. A similar question we did is x raised by 2048. 2048, which is the power of 2 raised by 11. So the answer is simple. But this one is different. So x raised by 2026. So the answer won't be as simple. But we still have one way to approach it. So let's do that. So we're given x plus 1 over x equals to 1. And we want to find x raised by 2026 plus 1 over x raised by 2026. So what do? Let's go from the given condition. Let's just multiply by x first. Then x times x, we get x squared. Get this away. Then x times 1 over x, that's just 1. 1 times x, that's x. So we write this equation, we get x squared minus x plus 1 equals to 0. Right, we can use completing square for this. So plus quarter, then equals to negative 3/4. So let's move, move negative 3/4 there. Because the quarter plus 3/4 is still 1. So basically we break up 1 into quarter and 3/4, but 3/4 move to the other side becomes negative. Then this is a square, right? That's x minus half squared. That equals negative 3/4. Then we can square root. So we square root both sides. So we get x minus half equals to plus minus square root of negative number, imaginary number, right? Then square root of 3. The denominator square root 4, so it becomes 2. Then move this half, negative half to the other side, become plus. So we get x having 2 imaginary numbers. So it's a half plus minus I indicates the imaginary part, square root of 3 over 2. All right, so how this help us? Remember the formula, right? Euler's formula. So Euler's formula is we can rewrite this as a cosine. The half has a value of cosine pi over 3 or cosine 60. Then plus I sine pi over 3, right? So this is from Euler's formula. And this one, we can use E, Euler number, to represent. We can write as E raised by I pi over 3. That's the beauty of using these Euler's formulas. Then we want to use this for x, right? So now x raised by 2026, we can write as x, not x, E raised by I pi over 3 raised by 2026. Then plus 1 over E raised by I pi over 3 multiplied by 2026. Now, what does it give to us? Let's multiply this. So 2026 times pi over 3. That's E raised by I. 2026 divided by 3. We can get a 674, right? The pi plus I 4 pi over 3. Okay, so I intentionally leave this I 4 pi over 3. Because 674 pi, it just went back to 0, right? Many circles. The same thing for the other side. So instead of writing 1 over, I'm going to write in negative term. So E, same term, just with a negative sign. Negative I 674 pi minus I 4 pi over 3. Right. You see, that's the beauty we can use. That's the beauty of using Euler's formula. Okay, now, so e to the I 674 pi is just e to the I 0 pi. Right? Remember, we have a circle. We're starting from 0 angle. We're running 1 revolution, that's 2 pi. Then 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, so on and so forth. Right? 6, 7, 4 pi. Back to 0. So this is 1. So 1 times anything, so we're left with e I 4 pi over 3. So the remaining pi's. Okay. Then plus e is by negative I 4 pi over 3. Well, what is this? We can write back, right? So the first one, this is a cosine 4 pi over 3 plus I sine 4 pi over 3. Then this is a negative, right? For sine, let me write it out. So we get a cosine from the first one. We get a cosine 4 pi over 3 and plus I sine 4 pi over 3. Then minus, because this is a negative, minus cosine. Well, let's do plus first, because this is a plus, right? Plus cosine of negative 4 pi over 3 plus I sine of negative 4 pi over 3, right? The negative sign comes from here. Now, remember what is the cosine 4 pi over 3? We have these 4 quadrants. 4 pi over 3 in the third quadrant, right? Because it's a 4 pi over 3 is a pi plus pi over 3 in the third quadrant. So looking at this triangle, and this will be pi over 3, right? So in the third quadrant, cosine is negative value, sine also negative value. So this one we get negative cosine pi over 3, well, which is negative half. Then plus sine 4 pi over 3 which is I negative sine pi over 3. Then cosine of a negative number. Remember, cosine is an even function. Cosine of a negative x equals to cosine x, right? So even function. So that's why this is still cosine 4 pi over 3, well, which is negative cosine pi over 3. Right, it's a cosine 4 pi over 3. But the value is negative cosine pi over 3. Then plus sine of negative is negative. So first the sine of negative, this negative can be outside, negative. Then sine 4 pi over 3 is negative sine pi over 3. So negative become positive. That's positive sine pi over 3. Now, oops. Now let's see. We have a negative cosine pi over 3. Remember, cosine pi over 3 is half, so we get negative half. Then we have an I negative sine pi over 3. We have, oh, this is a missing I. We have negative term, positive term that cancel out to be 0. We have this negative cosine pi over 3, negative half. Well, negative half minus half, that's negative 1. So this, still -1. Still -1. So when we raise this by square, because for another question is x raised by 2048 plus 1 over x raised by 2048. And we did the calculation in the end, we still get -1. And this one, we still get -1. But this one, we won't be able to go through the simple process. We have to use Euler's formula to, but the answer we see is still -1, right?